Welcome to the Soul Health Mentor podcast with Nadia Kraus. Learn how to move your awareness out of your mind and into your heart so you can embody your divinity, experience joyous peace of mind, and create your most vibrant life by opening to receive your soul's sacred medicine.
Hello, beautiful soul. Hello, strong heart. Hey, brilliant listener. Welcome back to the Soul Health Mentor podcast. Today, it is New Year's Eve. It's December 31st, 2023. And as we are all collectively welcoming a new year, what I want to talk to you about today is the importance of slow living. What does that even mean, right? What does the importance of slow living have to do with the noise of junk food culture? But before we dive into this week's topic of soulful living and me unveiling a polarity, light and dark, shadow and light, up and down, I will be unveiling this polarity through my own soul's tale of me living in Albany, Georgia in the US for 8.5 years. But before we do all of that, I want to connect the dots. The last solo episode that I recorded was episode number 87, and I talked about the importance of unplugging. The importance of unplugging for me looked like deleting my Facebook app off of my device, off of my phone, off of my iPad, because I noticed that I was kind of very much addicted to checking my messages, to checking if anybody liked my posts, if anybody commented. And I went on a journey, and this journey was me looking for the root cause. Why was I behaving this way? What was going on here? And I uncovered a history. So the history that I uncovered was my relationship with Facebook since 2009 and why I went on Facebook and started using social media to begin with. So it's important that I share this introduction of connecting the dots with you, because then talking about slow living versus the noise of junk food culture will make more sense. So I came online because of friends and family. 2009, it was friends and family that said, hey, you need to get on Facebook so we can share pictures, so we can just share in life. And today, I have to say that Facebook for me is like a modern day pen pal version, because I follow Facebook friends and I'm always curious about what they're doing in their life. And I also follow many entrepreneurs and many online business owners that I find very inspiring, and I also love to hear about what they're doing in life. So for me, it's become this way to get to know each other better. So it's a modern day version of having a whole bunch of pen pals, like-minded souls, like-minded hearts. I live by this saying, birds of the same feather flock together. So I curate my Facebook, I curate my feed, and I make sure it's things and people, topics that inspire me, that empower me, that uplift me. So that's what it's become. But it started with friends. And then in 2011, when we were working on a cruise ship as crew members, it was our only connection to the outside world. So every time we were in the harbor and we were on shore leave exploring, we would find a restaurant with Wi-Fi and we would share pictures of the beautiful locations that we were at, and we would connect with friends and family. And then when I started building an online business, or should I say, started learning about how I can build my online presence through a website, through blog posts, through opt-in gifts, through social media presence. And now, obviously, my podcast is part of that online presence. But I started learning about it in 2014. And it took a long time to develop this online presence, but that's another podcast. So let me continue connecting the dots so slow living makes sense. It was only then that I was on Facebook a lot. The time between 2014 and 2016, I experienced Facebook to be very, very vibrant, and I was learning a lot about business. I was online business specifically, and I was connecting to like-minded people, and it was inspiring, empowering, uplifting. It was fun. And then the political climate changed, and that's when Facebook changed, and polarities started showing up in my Facebook feed and political views, and that's when I really truly started curating my Facebook so that it matches my vibration, my essence, and the things that I find inspiring, empowering, and uplifting, the things that feed me, that nourish me, that nurture me, that support me. And ever since then, Facebook has been different, and it is what it is, but I never stopped using it the way that I like to use it. So I have shared happy day moments on Facebook. I have shared wonderful locations of tropical islands, but also wonderful locations in Europe. I have shared all kinds of transformational journeys when I was teaching myself to grocery shop and meal prep and cook and bake, to eat healthier. So I've always made sure that my Facebook timeline is a positive one that reflects the zest of life, the joy of life, the strength of life, the mojo of life. And the interesting thing though, I started getting addicted to checking for connection. And the reason I got addicted in checking for connection is because I was lacking real human connection in Albany, Georgia, where I lived for 8.5 years. So this connection was truly this Facebook connection that I was looking for. Yes, I was connected to my mother in Germany while she was still alive, and Facebook became our timeline during our crew member times, during the separation of me living in the States and my mom living in Germany. It also was a connection to my husband when I was separated from him due to the green card process. So yes, there was this connection to friends and family, but the addiction started happening because of isolation, because I was completely isolated, and everything that I had ever known living in Germany was taken from me living in Albany, Georgia. So now we've connected the dots of what I discovered when I recorded the importance of unplugging and reviewing my relationship with social media and solving that addiction by deleting the app and only posting when I'm on my laptop, because it's very different posting on the laptop than posting quickly on social media and then obsessively checking for the rest of your day. And here we are, navigating the sacred waters of slow living amidst the noise of junk food culture. Slow living is real life living. It is going grocery shopping. It is preparing your meals, cooking and baking. It is putting those meals in containers for the week, packing your lunch bag, taking it to work. That is slow living. The noise of junk food culture is actually represented not just in junk food like hamburgers and fries and soda and foods that don't have any nutrients or nourishment for us, but it's also reflected in social media, because everything is fast, 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 fast. Scrolling is fast. Information marketing is fast. All the things that we are taking in a very short amount of time while we are scrolling, we haven't even digested yet. We don't have to digest just the nutrients in the food we eat. We literally also have to digest the emotions that happen during our everyday. Now think about how many emotions happen when we scroll quickly. And we're scrolling quickly. We're not scrolling slowly. We're very seldomly stopping, slowing down, breathing, actually reading a long post, and listening to the message within. We don't do that. We scan, and it's fast, 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 fast. So that is the connection, and that is really the difference between navigating the sacred waters of slow living, which is real-time living. It is taking a walk in nature. It is without your phone, without looking at your phone. How many people do you see walking in the city glued to their screens? It is shocking. There is no need for us to be checking our phone while we're walking somewhere or while we are taking a walk. These types of things can wait. But that's what we see in our modern day life. How many families do we see nowadays with all of their devices out on the table in a restaurant, not talking to each other, but looking at their devices while they are eating? So not only do we not process our nutrients in the way they want to be processed, because your digestive tract needs rest to digest. So we need a calm and soothing energy. No, we are scrolling, 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 not paying attention to the food we eat or the people around us, not having conversations, not digesting our emotions, not connecting heart to heart. That is our modern day living. So navigating the sacred waters of slow living is shining a light on that. Being aware. We need to be aware of these patterns before we can release them and integrate new, healthier patterns. Go back to old school living. I'm Generation X. I did not grow up with social media. I did not grow up with devices. I still remember the time without a smartphone, without a tablet. And it was a beautiful time. And all of this reflection happened after I recorded, or during the time that I recorded unplugging, the importance of unplugging, because I was navigating my own self-care and soul care in this aspect of our modern day age. The noise of junk food culture is not just in the physical world through the food we eat, it's also in the mental realm, in the emotional realm, in the spiritual realm. And social media is the best example. It is the best example because there's so much good information out there. There's so much goodness shared on social media by so many different people. Things that are inspiring, empowering, uplifting, illuminating. But how many people truly, truly stop, slow down, breathe, actually read the post, listen, sense how this post is making them feel, digesting their emotions, and maybe even commenting with a thank you, with a aha, with a breakthrough? You notice that takes time. It takes time. It takes slow living to do that. And how do I know? I know because I post good content all the time on my social media. I actually just did a whole soul health series about fierce feminine core values. 9 posts that highlight the core values that are, let me share them with you. They are caring, happiness, integrity, peak attitude, passion, personal fitness and well-being, and trust. And hardly anybody comments. And sadly, hardly anybody probably reads it because there's not even much liking and loving. And now I'm okay with that because I've detoxed and I've realized that the heart-to-heart connection that I'm looking for is not to be found on social media. I can hope for it. I can hope that you listening to this podcast episode will change that, and maybe you'll check out my profile on Facebook. You can find me under Nadia Shana Kraus. Maybe you will. Maybe you will read it. Maybe you will comment. But I can't rely on it. The kind of connection that I'm looking for and that I had before moving to Albany, Georgia, and living in the States for 8.5 years was found in real life connection, real life community. I was doing workshops, I was doing classes, I was talking to people in real life, and that's where I found that community, that connection, those friendships, those inspiring, empowering, uplifting, and illuminating connections from that we get when we speak to each other heart to heart. So that is why I haven't actually recorded a solo episode ever since episode 87. I've just published interviews in German and English. I had to digest. I had to gift myself the sacred waters of slow living. I had to rethink my relationship with junk food culture, and that includes social media. And that led to a whole string of positive things. Not only did I share a core value series, a fierce feminine core value series on my social media, but I actually wrote 3 blog post series, and I even turned the core value series into a blog post series on soulhealthmentor.com. So if you don't want to visit my social media because maybe you aren't on Facebook, good for you. Maybe there's something else in your life that's addictive, that is, maybe it's TikTok. Maybe you don't want to go on Facebook, that's okay. You can visit soulhealthmentor.com and find the button that says blog, and you will find my core values series in a 5-part blog series.
Thank you for listening to the Soul Health Mentor podcast with Nadia Kraus. If you like what you heard, please subscribe, rate, and review at Apple Podcasts or wherever podcasts are playing.